they want to keep him in custody,
We don't know how long.
and they did say they would deport him.
Yes.
Congressman Ryan.
It just does seem that they're going out of their way to try to humiliate him. He was ready to leave. He gave him his tickets, his passport, the itinerary. He was ready to leave. And if they would have said, look, didn't work out, you got to go, he'd have got on a plane and went home. They're going out of their way to humiliate him and treat him like an animal. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I wish every American could see what is going on here. I mean, this is a great guy. He would have left. Just say, you got to leave by tomorrow. He'd went and got a ticket, packed his bags, and he'd have left. You put him in prison. You put him in jail. Treating him like an animal. To me, I hope every American can see what the language we hear coming out about shithole countries, when that hits the ground, this is what it does. It rips apart families, kids from their dad that hasn't done anything wrong. And like Attorney Leopold said, there are violent, undocumented people in our society today that we are not going after because we're going after a 35-year business person who's married to a U.S. citizen with 4 U.S. kids, who's the greatest guy you'd ever want to meet in your life. Does that make any sense? If I was, taxpayers should be outraged at what's happening here and the lack of humanity. And I want to say one last thing that has really bothered me sitting here watching this whole process. It's inhumane. There are people waiting here for 5 hours with 4 kids with not a chair to sit in. And this is constant process for this place and all around the country. Nothing to eat, nothing to drink, nowhere to sit. And to me, I just say to all these people we hear about Christian values, family values, where is the Christian humanity in our process right now? To me, it is incredible that we would treat people, regardless of their status, like this, let alone someone like Amer. It's appalling. It is really appalling, and I'm
Where do we go from here? What's an effort to try to get him back?
We're continuing to try to make calls and get people's attention in the administration, in the Department of Homeland Security, through the Judiciary Committee, which handles the private bill that we have sponsored, and hopefully, try to throw another Hail Mary pass. But clearly, for them to put him into custody is them, I think, playing games to try to embarrass him and try to humiliate him. I mean, like I said, I think it's important for everybody to know he had an ankle bracelet on. He wasn't going anywhere. Tell him he's got to get a ticket and he's got to leave.
He was going to go voluntarily, correct?
Yeah.
If that's what they wanted?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. They had the ticket stand. They had the itinerary.
You knew this was a possibility today that he would have to leave the country when you came up here today.
Well, wait a minute. We knew, of course, we knew it was a possibility. Of course, we knew it was a possibility. But also driving off the road on the way to the event is a possibility. Never in my wildest imaginations did I think that ICE would stoop so low as to trickery and to take Amer into custody. This is beyond the pale. And I've seen cruelty. Been an immigration lawyer for a while. This is a new low. We're into new territory here, where you just take someone into custody for no reason, just because you can, and you do it in such a cruel, inhumane way, where you lead people on to think, oh well, we're looking at your case, yeah, right. Don't leave was what they told him. Don't leave the United States. They called me up. Don't leave. Don't have your client leave. They called Amer. Originally we thought it was a prank call. Don't leave the country. So he doesn't. He was going to leave that Sunday. This was 2-3 weeks ago. And then they say, well, come in on the 16th. We'll talk about where we are, because we're taking a look at your case. Came in today. Congressman Ryan came in today to show support. And they took him into custody, just as Fidaa pointed out. He sat down in the chair. We're not going to beat around the bush. We're taking him into custody. When we asked why, that's what we're going to do.
And it just to think of, for all of us to think about, Amer shows up here with an attorney, a congressman, and he gets treated like he's some kind of common criminal. What happens to the people who show up here that don't have an attorney, that don't have a congressman? How are they getting treated? And I think we need to think about this. What are we doing here? It's embarrassing to think that our country is so dysfunctional at this point, that we're treating people this way, and we don't have a proper process set up in place for people to be able to, if they do have to get deported, let's do it in a humane way. And we can't focus our resources on the most violent criminals that are out there. It's ridiculous.
Do you think this is isolated, or is this going on all across the country?
This goes on the country. You can tell that they've done this before. And, as a conservative, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you're illegal and you have to be deported, that's one thing. But there should be processes and procedures to make sure that people have human rights, even if they don't have constitutional rights. And to dehumanize a person the way they did Al today, I would not have believed it if I had not seen it with my own eyes. America is better than this. At least I thought we were. And the question is, what happens tomorrow to someone else? It's not right.
The question about whether this is happening elsewhere, look, when the president came into office, about a week after he came into office, he got rid of President Obama's immigration enforcement priorities, which basically focused on criminals and national security risks, like the congressman said. And we're not going to go after the good people. We're going to go after people who are harming the communities. They threw that out, and ever since then, all over the country, they've been doing what we call silent raids, where they call people to come in and they put an ankle bracelet on them and tell them to leave. And in most cases, they'll say leave in a month or leave in 2 months. The congressman and I just now met a woman who was coming out. Her husband was told to leave in another month. That's usually what you see. What you don't see, or what I haven't seen until today, is this sort of surreptitious trickery where you call somebody in who you've led along to think that you're actually considering letting them stay, and then taking them into custody for no reason at all. Today is a new low. It's a new low, and it goes right along with what we heard about last week with these shithole countries comment. It's a policy of racism that comes from white nationalists that the president has surrounded himself with, namely Stephen Miller, namely Jeff Sessions, and others who are quietly turning the president's rhetoric into methodical, ruthless, racist policy. And that's what we're seeing here.
Thank you guys so much for
Thank you very
talking
much.
to us.